This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
Alec Penix seeks to help people not only look their best, but also feel their best by adopting a healthy lifestyle. Alec believes that spiritual development is a critical element of the physical transformation process because spirituality, as defined by each individual's personal beliefs, aids in overcoming internal roadblocks. He approaches training by focusing on the interior first and addressing individual client needs to aid them in transforming their bodies and achieving healthier lives. Valeria Teles interviews Alec Penix, the author of 7 Sundays, a faith, fitness, and food plan for lasting spiritual and physical change. After graduating from the University of Kentucky with a degree in dietetics, NASM certified trainer Alec Penix sought to accomplish his goal of becoming a celebrity trainer in Los Angeles, California. In 2010, he met fitness expert Eric the Trainer, who showed him the ins and outs of training Hollywood's top celebrities. Penix's first book, 7 Sundays, Howard Books, a division of Simon & Schuster, is a devotional that takes you on a journey of both spiritual and physical fulfillment. Because of Alec's vast knowledge of physical training, he is in high demand by all those who wish to undergo a physical transformation. Alec serves clients with every body type, wildly differing lifestyles, and of all ages. He's trained hometown heroes at the Sheriff's Department and taken on entire companies as corporate clients. Alec advocates an active lifestyle and competes in charity football games, such as the Celebrity Sweat Flag Football Challenge, which benefits the troops. His numerous television appearances include Good Morning America, Fox and Friends, The Doctors, Inside Edition, Home and Family, and Access Hollywood. Alec has also appeared in many publications including GQ, People, Wingman Magazine, Miami Living, and Muscle and Fitness. He is also an accomplished speaker who has appeared on many popular podcasts and leading conventions. Meet Alec at alecpenix.com. Here is the interview with Alec Penix.
In your own words, who is Alec Penix?
He is I think, first and foremost, he is a kind person, and he is now he is a fiance, and future husband, hopefully father as well. But I would consider myself, in spiritual terms, I would consider myself a spiritual warrior, in a sense, someone on the front lines, not afraid to go to battle, and almost in a way, I get pleasure from it. Rise to the occasion when I really put myself out there and feel like I'm contributing to the world in a positive way. So yeah, I think a spiritual warrior is sort of how I I was kind of given that term by my friends and my family. So I kind of just ran with it.
So staying with that topic specifically, your book, you talk about faith. So guess I have to ask you this second question. What is spirituality to you? What is to be spiritual?
I think this is a really beautiful question. This spirituality, I think, has changed for me over the years. it sort of transformed. It was originally when I wrote the book, I was going through quite the religious phase in my life. So spirituality then was more focused on God and sort of walking that path. And now, I would say that it really has changed a lot for me in terms. I think spirituality is realizing that God is in us and God is us and each individual person. It comes to a point where understanding that is self-empowerment and knowing that you have the power to sort of, create your own path and your own journey and believe in your own calling. That thing that is in you and is in all of us. So that has really transformed in terms of my perception of it, and knowing that we embody these physical bodies here, and we're just kind of going through I like to call it a pilgrimage. We're just spending time here in this world, but our spirits will last forever, and they'll continue to probably in my idea would probably be in another vessel soon. We understanding that distinction that we are physical, but that we are, how's the expression go? That we are physical beings or we are spiritual beings having a physical experience is sort of the way I look at it.
Why do you think so many of us believe in a personal God, in somebody or an entity out there looking out for us and taking responsibility for everything we do?
I think the main reason is that it gives us sort of like a moral code to live by. I think that was sort of an evolutionary trait for it. It's why we needed sort of to become more civilized as a human species. But as we evolved, I think that has, we are in the age of enlightenment. So I think that there is definitely more to spirituality than just this outside entity. Like I said, I think it embodies all of us. I think it gives us a sense of security and comfort knowing in having faith in something outside of us that is looking out for us and that loves us. And I think a lot of times that it gives people also a sense of loving and belonging. And I think a lot of people need that. It is very destructive and can blow up someone's identity to believe that this entity is somehow empowered in you and that you are it. And I think that a lot of people can't handle that. And I don't know if they really necessarily feel like they want that type of responsibility either. So I think that having that outside entities got in your life is in a sense, it's like I said, it's a security that I think we all kind of need.
I love your wisdom, Alec.
Thank you. I mean, it's been a journey for me. I'm a seeker. I don't know if it's, I don't know if you read anything about me, but I've been I was a younger age. They diagnosed me with ADHD, and that has a tendency to be ADHD. People who are diagnosed with that have a tendency to be novelty seekers, and so you're constantly seeking new things, new ideas, because you need sort of that reward system because of how the brain is sort of wired up. So school for me was never something I thrived at, because I was always I was daydreaming, thinking about life, thinking about other things. And I didn't work well within the confines of the school. So now I'm out in the real world. And I think over the years of constantly seeking and trying to find the truth, it has really given me a lot of, just a lot of understanding of I think of me and the life. So,
have you found your purpose? And if you did, when did you know that you had found it?
That was, I would say I've now really come to, may sound crazy, but if you look at my resume, I've been training since college, college, and I've almost been training for 15 years. I'm still quite young. I mean, I like to think I'm quite young. I'm still 33 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And to have that type of experience already in one field, I think it's quite unique at such a young age. But saying that, I wouldn't necessarily think that I would really have found like truly felt like I embodied my purpose until just probably recently, within the last year, like where family, friends, career, and all like your health, your spirituality sort of all comes into alignment in one direction and one focus. And I think that like I think that I have actually really, finally accepted the fact that this is who I am. I'm a trainer, but I'm all these other things, but how somehow my career is actually connected to the way I contribute to the world and the way that I serve to the world. It's there's Chinese proverbs. There's like Chinese, like they have a term for this, and I can't remember what it is, but when all like your career and your contribution and your purpose kind of all align together for one cause. And for that, I'm very grateful. But I'd have to say though, that for whatever reason, I don't know why, maybe it was just ego, that I really didn't embrace that I felt like this was going to be something I did for the rest of my life. And even writing this book, I was like, maybe I should be an author, or maybe I should do a podcast, or maybe I should do this. And maybe I can do those things. But really, what I feel like for me to be empowered is to really hone in my artistry as a trainer. And from then, I think I can attract all these different things rather than trying to be this, trying to be that, really focusing on this one thing and really like being great at it. I think that's something that I've really come into, and it's quite amazing the type of just the emotion and the type of like spiritual power that you get from that.
You talk about age briefly, and I have a question for you. What is old? What is the definition of old?
That's a good question. I think old is somebody that doesn't live, someone that's not living with purpose, and someone that doesn't wake up in the morning and have an excitement for life. And it's just like sort of someone that exists. I mean, they have all these terms now that 40s that is the new 30, like it's constantly going back a decade. People are getting younger physically. We're finding more about the body and more about medicine and more about nutrition and all these things. And if you really buy into those things, you can see your health really transform. But I don't think it's just about health. I think it's more about emotional and spiritual health as well. And I think all those things have to, body, mind, and spirit. It's one of the things that I live by, and really understanding how all those things in alignment is really ultimately somebody that is, they're ageless. Like they continue to thrive because they have purpose in life. And I think that keeps us young.
I do have some more questions for you. Lots of questions related to your book. It's titled 7 Sundays. I love this title for some reason. A faith, fitness, and food plan for lasting spiritual and physical change. But before I ask you those questions, let me ask you another basic one. Do you connect wellness to well-being?
Yeah, those are synonymous terms in my eyes. I think that wellness, well-being, it's sort of the new coined idea especially in my industry. I even at me being in it for about 15 years, I've really seen a transformation in the industry in terms of just like sort of like this physique, like eating egg whites and drinking protein shakes idea, to now like learning more about actually eating whole eggs and eating fats and, eating like whole food, and how that transformation is actually coming, and understanding like organic food and how things are processed, and just now how we're in an age of enlightenment, and we're seeking out spirituality and seeing the connection between all these different things. And I think that this is the new way. And then we're actually now just tapping into it and understanding really what these things are. And I think well-being and wellness can mean it's individual pursuit and understanding and journey.
I connect this idea of well-being, wellness, holistic living to love itself, and more precisely to unconditional self-love or self-love. Do you believe in unconditional self-love?
I do. I do. And I think that it is a term that, an idea that I guess thrown out a lot, or thrown around a lot. And I think we got to realize, kind of like understand, dive deeper into that. And what does it mean to be unconditionally loving to ourselves? And I think that, there's an idea that like unconditional love means, I mean, I could be wrong, but where I guess sometimes we may let ourselves off the hook at times. And I think that there needs to be like if you were having your own kids, like how would you love on them? There would have to be some type of tough love too, right? And I think that can fall under unconditional love, because I think a part of what we've been talking about in this podcast so far is about purpose. And in order to pursue something, there's going to be some obstacle in your tracks. There's going to be some tribulations and suffering. And I think that, unconditional love is making that commitment to yourself, making that commitment to the journey, and regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how difficult it may be, and I think unconditional love can be misinterpreted as times as just like allowing yourself to be, kind of like going in the wind, but you have to, I think, you look at yourself in the mirror and saying, are you happy with the person you're becoming? And, and sometimes you have to dig deep and face yourself and tell yourself the truth. And I think that's very difficult for some people. We
have been through a lot of change lately. So at this time, what do you think is the world's greatest need?
I think that love and connection is definitely one of them. I think that we, as being in this pandemic, has really showed people that we need social interaction, we need connection, we need people in our lives, because it has forced us to sort of seclude ourselves to, so that, that we don't continue to spread the virus. But I think that, in this time as well, what we need is awareness. And I think that's what we're getting. And that's why it was creating a lot of this chaos. And I'm a believer in transformation and having a metamorphosis, and as a total, as a society, as a global idea. And I think that whenever you go through a time like this, whenever you're going through a time of chaos, it needs to happen. It's actually part of the bigger plan for transformation, for spiritual evolution, and for mental evolution. And this is a part. To me, I think this is a part of the process for our own transformation. And I think that a lot of people, when you look at it, how the world is so bad, there's so much hatred, there's so much corruption and all these different things. Yeah, I mean, but now we're being able to see it. Now we're aware of it. Now because of that, we're aware of it. It's creating this chaos, but it's necessary for our growth.
Do you, in a way, order the process of transformation into change and then shift and then finally transformation? Not exactly in this order.
Well, I think that the transformation is ongoing. I think that we really have, and I think especially with our goal type mentality, especially in Western society, is that we are always coming up with these different goals, and we're always looking to get to that destination. And the destination doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is the journey. And understanding that you're in this thing forever, and that the transformation is a process, and it's a constant ongoing thing.
What is freedom to you? What is the meaning of freedom?
It's an individual idea. I don't think it really necessarily has to do with money. I think the idea of this, that you are you are God in a lot of ways, that spirit resides in you, and that all the conditioning of your younger age, all the trauma that you've gone through, all the negative thinking, the self-doubt, all those things aren't who you really are. And I think once you start building and start tapping into those unconscious belief systems, and start rewiring yourself, I think that you start breaking free, and you liberate yourself from these ideas. And the more you do that, the less fear you live in, and the less fear you live in, the more freedom you have.
What is your understanding and idea of peace?
I think it really is sort of the question the question you asked about before to now. It's like peace is sort of this idea of freedom, and in this self, not just self-awareness, but this self-empowerment, this understanding, this self-resourcefulness, knowing that you have everything in you to achieve and be in love and to contribute as much as you want. And I think once you realize that you have that within you and start working through some of these things, that there's no better, you can't get to peace without actually encountering suffering. And I think that's the biggest misunderstanding. You have to go through things. You have to get on the other side of things in order to really be at peace with yourself.
I love that you work in this area of fitness, dealing with the body and getting shapen up, but you bring all this amazing and true wisdom from my perspective. How did you become a writer?
It was something that life just where it just happened. Being in Hollywood and being around, I'm very fortunate in terms of who I'm around, and I think it gives me the opportunity to have opportunities that maybe other people may not have, or may be harder to come by. So the fact that I'm able to build relationships with powerful people, powerful meaning in the industry, it gives me an advantage in a lot of ways. And I think the unique thing about training is that you have this one-on-one, you build this intimate relationship with people, and they begin to connect. You begin to connect with them, and I think that's definitely one of my strengths, is the ability to connect and to make people feel comfortable around me. They're not just there to train with me, but they're there to have a relationship and to have connection and to get away from their stressful lives and be able to move their body in a powerful way and sort of work on this body, mind, and spirit connection. And there was a specific client that I was training and that we really developed a unique relationship with. And he was he's a publicist out here in LA, and he's been a publicist out here for a really, really long time. And I sort of, I helped him through. I was sort of like not just his trainer, but his spiritual mentor as well. And, he had a lot of things that he was dealing with, a lot of trauma, especially living out here in Hollywood. It's not a place to really develop. I mean, I have great relationships and I'm very lucky for that, but it's really hard, especially when you're in Hollywood, to find people that you trust and that love you for you and that don't have any ulterior motives. But, through time, he's the one that kind of gave me the idea. He's like, dude, I really love your story. I think that you have something, this idea about spirituality and fitness and how those things can merge into one. And so we just kind of, that idea just sort of cultivated into a bigger idea. And that was, writing a book. And, he had the relationships. I had sort of the essence of it. I was it. And it really I got lucky. Like I really did get lucky at the end of the day. He connected me with the right people, and those people liked me. And then, those people connected me with the book, with Simon and Schuster. And then there I had a book deal. First time author, didn't have really much of a following on Instagram or really much of anything other than the fact that like I was just this guy who had this idea about creating this devotional and to see, give it to the world. And from then, I found myself like writing this book and then launching it. It was just sort of surreal how it all kind of came together. But that was really how I became an author. It wasn't some idea that I planned on doing. Yeah, I maybe had in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, writing a book would be kind of cool. But never really did think it would actually exist it's so quickly, I guess.
Did you set an intention while writing the book?
Yeah, I mean, the intention was to deliver something that was something that I feel like it could help people and give people a little bit more insight on this idea of the body, of the spirit, and of the mind, and how all these things can kind of work together, and how developing healthy habits could manifest into something that would create sort of I wouldn't even say happiness, but just sort of a more meaningful life. And and with that intention, you can create something that's beautiful.
I'm also wondering if most of your clients in the past and now are open to this spiritual component that you bring in.
Yeah, I mean, it's hit or miss. I mean, I think it all depends on where the individual's at. I mean, I'm less religious now than I would say I wouldn't call myself religious at all, actually. And that was one of the unique things, and one of the things that I battled with a lot when it comes to now with this book and still promoting it, is the fact that, like, it talks about these ideas, the biblical ideas, and I still think that there's really great things, like foundational things in the Bible that can teach anyone. You don't have to be religious to read it or to follow some things in it. But I think that now it's like I'm not that same person, and that's the thing about constantly growing, evolving. It's like you have a heart. I still think that people can get something out of this, but I'm not that guy. I'm not so much about this religious guy anymore. So I think maybe the religious thing, especially out here in Hollywood, it's very liberal. It's very new age ideas, and I think that just where I am now personally, sort of, you are what you attract, or you attract what you are, and I am attracting those people, different people now, and so, but I use different terminology. I use a different way of connecting. Those things are just evolving with me. That was a long way of answering your question, but yes, I think that there are people open to it, but it just really just depends on the individual.
I love the way you embrace the fact that you have been changing, growing, and in constant transformation. That is very unique, because a lot of times we'll have to let go of the old. And that for most people, it's really, really scary to change opinions, say one thing one day, and then the next day, wait a minute, I changed. Now I think differently. So it takes a lot of courage, and I admire that.
Yeah.
Beautiful message.
Yeah, I think to go off of that real quick, I think that last year I went through a really difficult time in terms of right when I was done with all the press of the book and things. My life was kind of like slowing down a little bit. Life just kind of hit me. I was going through a lot of different changes. I was, I was questioning my faith, I guess. I was meeting different people that were opening me up to different ideas in different ways that were challenging me. And I'm very open-minded, and I want to, like we've talked about, I like to grow. And I also was going through a change in my personal life with meeting my fiance, the love of my life, and getting so much identity tied up in women. Now that being blown up, and knowing I have to commit to this person, and I have to love this person, and I have to grow with this person. That was a huge boom, like identity shake up as well. And I went through some struggles, where I identified so much of my beliefs into faith. Those were shifting, and then also had some personal things shifting, and I had career doubts, and all these things were happening. I went through some wacky stuff, some some panic attacks, things I've never dealt with before, some emotional things. Like I didn't even really know how to deal with that. And it was so, I'm so grateful for it now. And I'm out of it now, and I'm stronger because of it. But it was because, I think those are the types of things. I'm not saying that has to be that severe for people. I'm like an all in type of person. So I think that my transformation happens more rapidly and it happens more intensely. But I think people are afraid of that struggle. They're afraid of that transformation, that growth, because it doesn't always necessarily feel good initially to get on the other side. But I learned so much about myself during that process. And I love, I guess, expressing and talking to people about it, because it's such a really big, important part of my life and who I am today.
In your book, you have a phrase about, I think, self-care. It's another challenge for most people. And then we talked earlier about unconditional self-love and love and all that. But self-care, basic self-care, it seems like it's common sense to just do it. So I'm wondering why this is a challenge for most people.
Because I think it's one thing it's in our culture not to. Like, I think it's like in our culture to work ourselves to death and to make it and achieve, and we wear ourselves down, and we don't take care of ourselves. Like, we don't give ourselves the time to exercise and to eat healthy, and we don't. It's so crazy to me that we don't prioritize that. So, like, people will go a whole day without eating, and then they'll go weeks without exercising and moving their body. And I don't understand. It's crazy to me that they, we go through these things. And I mean, self-care means more than just eating healthy and exercising. It means like giving yourself time to spend with those you love, giving yourself time just to read a book or to go outside and go, just whatever. We don't prioritize that because we're in this belief that we don't have enough time for that there's not enough time for this or that. And we just find ourselves hustling and bustling, doing a lot of things that aren't even that important at the end of the day. And we are wearing our bodies down. We're breaking it down, eating unhealthy foods and not moving. And we find ourselves be less effective over time. And it's just one big bad relationship with yourself, and when you don't like have that self-reflection and that awareness, that it can be overlooked, and then before you know it, you're finding yourself in a very unhealthy place, and you wonder how you got there, and you realize that it's been just years and years of unhealthy lifestyle. And I think it's like you are alive, like you exist, and you deserve all the self-love and self-care in the world. Like, we all do, and not one is greater than the other. We're all equal and we all deserve it. And you don't have to earn self-care. You don't have to earn it. You just are it. So it's a really big, you have to really, I think, work through some of these ideas, these beliefs that have been conditioned in us from day one, and look at and allow yourself, like we talked about, change, and allow yourself to look at things with a new perspective, from a new vantage point, and give yourself these times and this opportunity to take a step back and find out what self-care looks like for you, what are the types of things that you would want to do and for yourself, and make it a priority.
It makes me wonder if it's possible to change our belief system before something happens, before a challenging situation just knocks on our door.
It's like, unfortunately, yeah, you're right. It's like, it has to be a traumatic experience before us to really make a change in our life. And that's the sad thing. It's there's not enough motivation in our life to love ourselves. That's sad.
You say we must surrender to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but before I ask you to talk about this specific phrase, what you meant by this, let me ask you another question. What is success to you today? What is the meaning of success? What is to be successful?
I mean, I've heard so many different terms of success, but I think success is something that where you can look at your life and you can see that you're loved. You have family and friends that love you. You have, you can have, a career that you wake up and you're excited to go to. You're contributing to the world in a positive way. And I think also with success, there's this idea of progress and moving forward. And I think that with how our biological system, our evolutionary biological system set up and reward system set up, is that when we move forward and when we can constantly, grow in all these different areas, grow to connect, grow in our careers, grow, financially, grow in all these different ways, you find yourself actually living life with more vigor, and you find yourself thriving because your body's just set up in that way to do that. And I think that, when you put all those things together, success doesn't necessarily mean money by any means. But, success is, really being able to construct your life in a way, understanding how you are as a person. We're somebody that needs to connect. We're someone that needs to eat healthy food and exercise and move. We're somebody that needs to give and contribute. There's someone that needs to have a career that is meaningful and that allows us to grow. Like it's meant to be that way. However, I don't think a lot of people see it that way. And especially if you're stuck, you can't imagine putting all those things together. And not saying that you have to be you had to put it well balanced. You had to have it all together. No, I'm just saying it's this idea of striving to that and having those things.
Do you still run teach the program? I think you call 7 Sundays program, and also the 6 pillars of purpose. That's something else, right?
The 6 pillars. It has 3 spiritual elements. The idea of surrender, the idea of feeding yourself the healthy spiritual diet by reading things that empower you. Like at that time, it was really about putting yourself, learning the Bible and reading the Word. And the Word could mean it could mean totally all these different ideas now. And then you have a giving. I think giving was a part of the spiritual element as well. And then also you have exercise, diet, and sleep. And really this idea, and I think it's kind of what we're talking about with success, is really about putting all these things together and being intentional about it daily. Actually, it's not something, like I said, it's a journey. It's not something that we just all right, I want to get, it's this idea of 7 Sundays, but the idea of 7 Sundays is to create habits that will last a lifetime. You want to create a lifestyle, right? And I think, especially in the industry that I'm in, it's about get 6-minute abs, and all this different crazy stuff. And it's not about that. It's about finding this individual approach to wellness and something that you feel like you can do for a lifetime, something that you can see that you can feel empowered with. And I think with the ideas behind 7 Sundays is something where we're creating these habits daily and to make it a part of ourselves, where you're excited about doing them and you see the benefit of them, and this continuing on with it as something that it just becomes a part of you.
So you said we must surrender to succeed. Talk to me for a moment about this phrase.
Well, I believe that there are things in life that you can't control, and I think that when you let go of this idea of what you resist, you persist. If you let go and you allow these things, it's this idea behind meditation teaches you how to sort of surrender to life, into the universe, or to source, or to God, and start building. Even though I it's all connected, but this idea of that you are one with it, right? And you build a relationship with it, surrendering to it, and allowing things to sort of come, like you said, go with the flow type of thing. The idea, you still have intention, but you can't be so wound up. And so I think it's powerful to have willpower, but you have to know you have to know when to use it. You have to know, willpower can be used in the opposite way, and that is letting go, and letting go and not be so reactionary to life. in the things that happen to you. And so it's this idea of a surrender is really about building a relationship with source and allowing that to cultivate in you and allow that to teach you, really.
It sounds like wisdom to me, knowing the difference between this dance, this movement.
Yes. Yeah, it is a dance. You're right. I love that. It really is a dance. And I think that people, and I was one of these people, I want the blueprint to life, to be successful. And like, it doesn't work that way. Life isn't, there isn't this blueprint to life. There are things that you can do to live a fuller life. However, I think it's an individual thing. And I think that you learn that through surrender. You learn that through developing a spiritual life. And I think that, life, understanding, living in the unknown, constantly, and being okay in that sort of that unknown, which can be chaotic, you find the beauty of life. You feel more, right? You're not just always seeking happiness and joy and bliss and all these beautiful emotions, but you're also going to feel pain and discomfort and you're going to have fatigue, and you just feel those things. You surrender to them. They don't sway you one way or another. You stay composed, you stay calm, and you continue to move forward in life. And that is something that has been really hard for me to learn and develop. But I think that I'm getting better at it.
Well, you're expressing yourself in a very powerful way that can be felt. So, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I have a few more questions for you, but before I ask them, would you like to add anything or read a passage in your book?
Something to add about my book. It's just like, it's pretty practical and straightforward. And if if you could be open to the fact that, you can the whole idea of the religious idea and see it as Jesus as source or whatever you want to call it. And really, there is a lot of good things about, it's set up in a devotional. So it goes from day one, all the way to 7 Sundays, all the way to the end. And it really can, I think it's good because it can guide you day by day. And I think a lot of us who are just starting off kind of need that guidance. And it can be really powerful. And I'm a firm believer in incremental progress. And I think that we do a really good job at taking like small steps. It doesn't have to, set up these huge, grandiose ideas and goals for yourself, even though that's important. But I think the small steps give us momentum. And so I think that it helps people who really are struggling with finding, getting going and finding that momentum with their own personal journey.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, as patience is part of love, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you knew you would die soon, meaning losing the body, would you make any change in your life or do anything differently?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. One of the most powerful things that I was able to learn, it was just from me seeking and learning, was that I was able to flip the script on my past. And I think that we live in a very therapy orientated culture where we are define ourselves by our past. And once I realized that my life happens for you, not to you, that really allowed me to change the whole perspective, and it really empowered me.
What are 3 things about life you know for sure as of now?
That it is a beautiful place. That it's a loving place, but it can be difficult. I think it can be difficult. It definitely is a loving place, but knowing that those 2 things need to coexist with one another to have a fulfilling life.
So it has been a wonderful conversation. Yeah, I love your wisdom. It's profound. Thank you for your presence and for sharing what you know.
Thank you for having me on. It was a beautiful experience.
And I do have one more question, but this is a technical one. Where can we find more information about you, your books, products, services, and future projects?
You can go to my website, which is www.alecpenix.com. And also, I'm most active on Instagram, which is my handle is Alec Penix. And you can find more about me through there. And on my website, you can purchase my we can funnel you to Amazon. You can get my book, or have different forms. Hard copy, it has ebook, it has everything that you would need. But yeah, if I'm constantly updating my social media and my websites for new blogs and new products that I recommend. I update that all the time as well. And so, yeah, I'm pretty active. So if anyone wants to connect with me, you can connect to me through my email, which is at hello@alecpenix.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again, Alec, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye for now.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Alec Penix and his work, please visit alecpenix.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.